badge and members newsletter. What are you waiting for? Join Hochanda Freedom today and become a member of the growing Hochanda family.
Hi, I'm John Lockwood from John Next Door. I'm lucky enough to have been a guest on Hochanda since day one. I've been working closely with Crafts2 on the development of the John Next Door brand and also working with their fantastic range of products. I'll be bringing you some fantastic shows that are combining the John Next Door and Crafts2 products. We'll be sharing things like the press cut dies and some of the Find It media and some of the other fantastic tools, accessories and other products that Crafts2 bring to everybody at home. I hope you can join me on my crafting journey and learn some tips and techniques from me that I share with you. So don't miss the Crafts2 shows with me, John Lockwood, on Hochanda.
Hi, I'm Gina Barrett from Gina B Silkworks. We're a family company specializing in traditional crafts for the modern maker. Most of our products involve textiles and age-old techniques, from button making, lace making, weaving, and other forms of passementerie. I hope you'll be able to tune in to the Gina B Silkworks shows here on Hochanda.
Well, hello, a very good evening to you. How are you? This is Hochanda. It is always great to have you companies like Deja Vu. We did the show earlier, but we're back again with some different demonstrations for you. And you might not have seen the earlier show, so all a win, win, win. Right, we have got a lovely, lovely tool for you here. It's a really great tool of the trade, and it's really clever. When you are stenciling, what is the problem with stencils? They move. And when they move, you will get, shading in the wrong area. You will get marks in the wrong area, and it can really spoil your design. That's when we bring out the butterflies, isn't it? And we cover up the mistakes that we've made. Well, here you don't, because your stencils are locked into place. Now, you may see it looks like they've got little ring binder holes, doesn't it? Well, those actually are put into place with little pins onto your blue board that you see there. And not only do you have pins down the side to keep them in place, then you've got the magnets to keep those in place as well. So it really is very secure indeed. And if I show you this, if I just shake this about, look, I'm not holding onto the stencils, you can see they're not moving at all. Now, the really interesting thing as well is that in each of these packs you actually have 3 stencils. They are moving now because I've pulled the magnets off. You wouldn't do that and they're not pinned in, but I'm just showing you the stencils. But if I show you these, you've actually got 3 different shapes in there. Now, if you wanted to use them individually, you absolutely can, and I'll show you the boards in a second. But when you work them together, you get this, that's the wrong way. Which way is it? Is it that way? I'm just moving them around now, but you get this fantastic, let me show you on the board, you get this fantastic depth of shading. Here we are. So if you have a look at this one, we're showing you 4 boards here because one of them has got all 3 together. So you can use that one by itself, which is like a real burst, isn't it? I was saying this could be water drops actually. And then you've got the actual petals, and then you've got slightly different. And when you add it together, you can see how the 3 combined give you this amazing kind of depth of shading there. Now, the problem with this is if your stencils weren't in position when you're putting on your texture paste or your inks or whatever it is that you're using, if that moves one tiny bit, you will lose that precision and that absolutely perfect detail, and that will spoil the design. So this way everything is kept in place and your designs are absolutely perfect. I'll show you the other board so you can see the other stencils that are coming through. As I said earlier, this is almost like a kind of 60s print to me, but it is obviously a floral design, as you can see here. I think this one is so simple. One stamp and or one stencil stencil, and then literally a sentiment across the middle, and that's all you need. And then we've got this one here. As you can see, 3 of them together combined gives you that. But if you want to use the 3 individual patterns, you absolutely can. It's definitely a honeycomb thing going on, but I actually saw a giraffe print in there, but maybe that's just my strange mind. And then you have got that one, which is like a kind of terracotta tile. It's got a bit of a sort of Moroccan flavour, I feel, about it. But once again, put them all together, and that's what you can achieve. So fantastic to get the different stencils, and as John was saying earlier, they are all such different stencils as well, because you've got the kind of tiles, graphic prints, you've got florals, you've got the bursts as well. So very interesting, but the tool is really clever. Now, in one of the demonstrations earlier, John made this, and he rightly said that people would look at this, if you look at the detail, they would look at that and go, how on earth have you done that? Because all of this perfect detail, this inner dark blue, how would you get that on in such precision across the card? That's the stenciling. That's where the tool comes in, because it holds everything into place, and then you're able to create absolute masterpieces like that that make you look like a genius. This is another one, look, where you've got that kind of depth of stenciling, and it gives you that kind of 3D effect, so it makes it look like it's stepping out of the page, but it's not. I love this one. As I said, that's kind of like that, it's upside down. I've got the glasses, don't worry. But this is where you get that kind of giraffe print, as I said, and you might not see it as giraffe at all. Then you have got this one here, which is lovely. This is really, really pretty with the flowers there. And you can see how now you can really make this quite graphic print, quite soft by adding flowers. And again, you've got this one. And then you've got the dragonfly. Or you could put butterflies onto that one, and again you've got that beautiful flower print as well. And look, you see, it's this here is working out because you've got that everything set in stone, set in place, and you can use it, as we say, with texture paste or with your inks and things like that as well. Now, it's on extended delivery because actually when it was launched earlier, it just disappeared. It sold out. But in our last show, it's on extended delivery. It is coming out to you a week today. It's on a 7-day delivery. 912481 is your item number. It is also on a beautiful blue price, which means it is a Freedom members price, $49.46. Is that on FlexiPay today? FlexiBuy today? Is it? Yes, of course it is. So you can divide that cost into 2. If you're not in the Freedom Freedom Club, it is $24.73. Your first of 2 flexible payments today. We are, by the way, 20% of our extended stock now gone, so it's disappearing again. If you want to get hold of it, it is 912481. Now, in the last show, we talked to John. He was actually on Skype, and he gave us a great explanation. But let's listen again to John's explanation of what he thinks, how he thinks they work, and why they work so beautifully.
In this demo, I'm going to show you how to use the fantastic new magnetic stencil colour set from Nellie Snellen, along with the matching stencils, to create an absolutely beautiful multi-layered stenciled background. Now, in the box you'll receive the base, which has got all the sizes and everything that you need on there. It's also got all the measurements down the side, running from 1 to 17 centimetres. This is all done in metric. You'll receive 2 magnets which will stick to the base, and if you have any other magnets at home, these will work as well. So they work exactly the same on there, should you want to hold your stencil in place a little bit firmer. And you'll also receive 5 of these little sort of rubber pips which hold your stencil in place. So what we need to do first of all is pop some card in. So I'm going to move my pips and my packaging to one side, my magnets, and I've cut a piece of card here to the size noted, which is 13.5 by 13.5. Now, you can use other sizes of card, but to get started and to learn how to use it best, it's best to cut the card to the size that you need. So I'm going to place that within this brown border that runs all the way around, and I'm simply going to tape my card down to the base. This just helps keeps it in place. Next, I want to take one of the stencils, and I've chosen the honeycomb stencil, which comes with 3 patterns. And you want to start with the largest aperture, with the largest space. So you place that down, you take your little pips, and hopefully you can see this, and you want to just gently ease those into place. So go through each one and ease them into place, sort of turning each one to put it in. I'm not going to put all of them in for speed, but I would suggest at first you do this to get used to it. So it's a little bit difficult at first. Once you actually get the maneuver and you understand how it works perfectly. So we'll just squeeze this one in. There we go. So there we go. And you can see there, I've got my stencil set in place. It will stay in the same place, and I've got my card there. So then I want to take my magnets and just pop them. I use the two corners just to give that a nice slip and keep that sort of stencil down. And again, if you want to or you're concerned, you can use any other magnets that you want to just hold it into place. So I'm going to start colouring, and I'm going to work from the lightest colour to the darkest colour. You can try lots of different techniques with this, lots of different products to use through the stencil. I'm going to start with pigment ink as it gives a beautiful blend and I find it the easiest. And I'm starting with the largest stencil with the lightest colour, which is this, the yellow. And I'm using the blending petal foam, which is a flower that splits into 8 separate parts from Crafts 2, because I find this is lovely and smooth. So make sure I've got lots of colour, and I'm just going to rub the colour over the stencil as you would do if you were stenciling. And you can use stencil brushes or finger daubers or anything that you would normally use. So we'll just fill that. So I'll fill all of that and then I'll show you the next stage. So as you can see here, I've got the first colour down, or the yellow, and I've simply added the next stencil on in the set, which is the smaller stencil, and it fits in exactly the right place again. Make sure you use your pips, get those popped in tightly. So it only allows you to get the stencil and the pip in when it's correct. And then we pop our magnets down, and I'm going to move to the next colour in the set. And I'm using the orange again from the mini pigment inks by Eyes Ink. I'm going to take some of the colour on my blending petal. This time I've chosen an orange, and I'm just going to go over and put the orange on. So I will continue and do this, and then I'll swap it in for the final layer. As you can see here, I've already put the orange in, so I've got the yellow going to the orange in the centre, and I'm going to put the final stencil into place. So again, I just pop that on, and this is the smallest stencil in the set. And again, pop your little pips in, which helps to make sure that the stencil is in exactly the right place. And there will be more designs coming in this, apart from the 4 that we've got at the moment. So we'll be designing our own, as well as some new ones from Nelly to go with this. So this time I'm going to switch into the darkest shade, which is the red. And again, another piece of the foam, pop my magnets on, take some of the red pigment ink, and again, I'm just going to rub this over. Now, what you need to remember is, when you're doing this final stage, you are building your colour on top of 3 other colours. You've got yellow there, and you've already got the orange. So you do sometimes feel as if you don't get the intensity of colour, or that you're not getting it working at all. It doesn't seem to be changing it a lot. However, when you remove the stencil, you will see that that colour has come through beautifully. So I'm just going to get that through. Just give it a wipe down, just to make sure I've got all that. Take my magnets off, take my pips out, my stencil off, and you can see there when I remove that from there, I've got that beautiful honeycomb triple layer look on there. And again, you can use this in any combination you want to, and it makes the most beautiful background for your cards.
It does indeed. In fact, let me just quickly grab a card that gives you that background, because you can see then how effective that is. So if you want to get hold of that system, it is 912-481-5495, an introductory price, and a really clever way to work. It just means that everything is nice and safe and protected, and you can then do the interesting bit, which is the creating bit, instead of worrying about everything slipping. We don't want to worry in life about everything slipping. That happens as we get older. Right, let's have a look at the inks. So you get your ink and you get your pigment ink, and these are really clever. Your inks are basically what you would see John using on a regular basis, or any of our ladies actually when they're inking. So basically you put them onto your mat, you can put water with them, you can spritz with them, you can use them to vintage things up, you can use them to put on the edges of your cards just to kind of soften things. And they're really juicy, these little ink pads, and you get a great selection of colours as well, which is brilliant. Now the other ones are called pigment inks. John today said they're a bit of a pig because they are pigment inks, but what that means is that they are a slower drying ink, and when you use them with your heat embossing powders, the embossing powder draws up the colour, and then you can do blending at a slower pace because everything dries slower, and that means you can really get creative, make amazing colours, make amazing blends, and they're very useful indeed. Great to have the two combined together if that's what you want to do, and you have got a wonderful collection of colours. You've got your brights, you've got your popping colours, you've got your earth tones, your subtle tones, and we've got a saving there as well today. So you're saving yourself £4, £29.98, £29.98. 705640 is your item number. You can pick up the phone and give us a call, 01733 60 2000. You can shop on the website as well, of course, which is hochanda.com. But great set of inks there. Let's move down to our stamps, and we've got the set of 3 stamps here. Look at the detail in these stamps. That shading is absolutely incredible. Now imagine you've just done literally one stamp, and then if you were to put some watercolour over there, literally a wash of watercolour, all that shading and depth would be in there, but it would be seen through your watercolour. It would make it look like you had done the shading, but you haven't. So if you're not a great colourist, these are fantastic. But I think also as well, in terms of the look of them, there's a lovely vintage feel to them. That black and white, if you just want to leave them as black and white, they work beautifully. Let me show you some examples here that we've got, like this one is really, really lovely, and just the simplicity of that stamp on some scripted paper. This one, when we've done it in copper tones as well, I mean, how clever is that? It just draws the eye in, and it really is interesting. The same with this one as well. This one has got some lovely colour added to it, as you can see there, and once again, it's that depth of shading, it's drawing the eye in. This is beautiful because it's got some glossy accents on there, as you can see, and that's really giving that flower a lot of depth and character. And I want to show you this because this is absolutely magnificent. As we open it up, you will see all of those lovely stamps in progress there, and you know, you could create a gorgeous photo album, you could create a story, it could be a journal, it could be anything, but I think they are just so beautiful. In fact, I was just reminded there a bit of kind of Alice in Wonderland illustrations. Do you know what I mean? That kind of, those sort of books like that you see. Yeah, and the flowers are so beautiful. So I think that's a lovely collection of stamps there, and great price for those, for the amount of detail that you get there. £23.97. 176190 is your item number if you would like to get hold of the 3 together. Then we have got your floral collection here, and you are getting your 7 stamps here. Once again, that kind of depth of shading, the detail, and they are beautiful, really well sized as well, these flowers, because you know, you are getting a lot for your money in terms of the size of the stamp and also the size of the illustration. And you can just colour them up however you want. I mean, that to me looks like a bluebell, but when you colour it in red, it looks very different, as you can see there. Isn't that beautiful? And like I say, just a wash of colour. But if you're not great with your colouring and you want to leave them in black and white, this one has got a tiny bit of, looks like an off-white used in there perhaps, but you don't have to go to town in the colours. I think they actually just stand alone themselves actually in the black and whites. I mean, like this one hasn't got any colour on it, that is just black and white, and it works beautifully. But when you want to colour them and really go to town, look at what you can achieve. Absolutely amazing with that detail. So 925435, your item number, £34.97 if you would like to get hold of that collection. Then we've got the Mica Magic. And this is wonderful. You get the two palettes here. You get your popping bold colours, but you also get your kind of golds and earth tones as well. Now, in an earlier show, I just used my finger. You would probably use a little daubing pad, but I didn't have anything, so I used my finger. And this is the kind of thing that I created. And what I'm trying to show you there is the shine. You've got the mica coming through, which is beautiful. But also you can see how, even with my finger, they just started to blend together. You've got lovely, lovely colourways there. I think these would work really well with your stamps that we've been showing you today, because it's a very soft wash, so they would work so well with that that item. But you get the two here, and they do go a long way. I mean, I used them today and I got a lot of colour out of just a couple of swipes from my finger with them. So 430414 is your item number. $26.98 if you'd like to get hold of those today. They do have a saving and they will last you a long time. A lovely palette there, 430414. And then we mentioned that you would use daubers with them. Well, we've got the daubers on them. I love this set. I love the storage case and how they're all in there, look. And you just literally imagine just popping them out, putting them into your mica powders. And also as well, you've got your blending petal there as well. That is $21.99 for the lot, $422,944, your item number. A freedom price on there as well. So no postage and packaging, under £20, £19.79. Let's give you a quick mention as well of some other items on the show. They are our 7-day savers. If you want to get hold of some red liner tape, this is a great deal. 20 reels there, and that is 570093 as an item number. $9.99 instead of $25. Also the decoupage paper as well, massive saving on this one. That should all come to £70.79. But 72 sheets there of wonderful decoupage paper there. It's Papa, don't you know? It's Papa from Jelly Bean Crafts, and that is down to under a tenner, $9.79. That's an absolute must. So I would pop that into your shopping basket, definitely. And that price and that item will change on Sunday, because that's when our 7-day savers end. Okay, so we showed you the stamps. Shall we see them in action? Yes, I think so. Our lovely John has created a gorgeous flower. Now let's see how he does it.
In this video tutorial, I'm going to show you how to use just one of the new 2J's stamps, the beautiful sort of open daisy, to make this card, including the background, just using the Eyes Ink die pens. So to start with, I'm going to stamp the main issue or the main image. So I'm going to bring in my press to impress, and I've got a piece of white stamping card here, and this has been cut to 5 inches by 4 inches. And I'm going to place my stamp on carefully, and I'm using a water-based product, so I can use my VersaFine. So I'm using VersaFine in Onyx Black on this one, so give that a good stamp. The design on this one is a little bit more open, so it doesn't need quite as heavy stamping as some of the other designs that have got quite a lot of detail in them. So we'll just give that a good press. And there we go. We get that beautiful stamped image. And I love this just on its own. It's absolutely gorgeous, just stamped in a brown ink onto craft card. It looks lovely. So I'm going to colour this. I'm going to go for a really easy way using the Eyes Ink die pens. Now these are the same colours as you get in the Eyes Ink ink pads and the mini ink pads, but this is a more concentrated version of the die available in a brush pen. So I'm going to check my colours first, and I would always suggest you do this. So bring in a scrap piece of card and just check which each colour does. You could write them down and have a sort of tally or a chart, but I don't. So that's fine. Okay, so we know that that is the darker pink. So I'm going to go with the lighter pink here to start with, which is the rose. And all I'm going to do is very roughly colour over most of the image. So I'm not being careful. That's what I love about using dye-based products with water, is that I don't have to spend hours being very, very careful with my colouring. So there we go. We'll just get that almost to the end, and then this second petal back here. I'm then going to move to a darker shade. So this is the cerise, and I'm going to go for the darker shade from the edges. So what I'm going to do is literally, I'm not being too careful, because I'm going to give this a nice, this is a hand coloured item. This isn't supposed to be precise. This is supposed to look like you've handmade it for somebody. So I'm just going in, sweeping in with the brush marker. The brushes flow beautifully on these, from the outside edge into the centre. So just go here and a little bit here because we've got like a double petal wrap there. There we go. I'm then going to go with the darkest shade, which is the framboise red. And I'm going to flick that out from the centre, quite simply, like that. Yeah. I'm going to take the lighter pink and just colour this bud at the top. And then I'm simply going to go in with, this is my small Crafts 2 water brush. So just make sure that your water's flowing. And then you just a case of, let's get a little bit more water going, scribbling out on top. And if you can see there, because they're dye-based, the pens will actually pull out. So where those two colours are meeting, the dark and the light, over that lighter pink, you can see you're actually getting a natural sort of shading of the flower. You see on this side, it's all blended. On this side, you can still see the strokes. So all I'm doing is just going very quickly over with the water brush, filling in any areas missing, and not taking any particular care, and it just blends them absolutely beautifully and gives me a real natural look. I can see the colours mixing. So I'm going to go to there. You could spend a little bit more time on it at home. And I'm just going to go back into my red. And I'm just going to add a little bit more red on top of where it's wet. I don't have to worry about this. Just where it's darker. So where it's darker on the design, you can see I've added that little bit more red. And that will just splay out itself into the water. I'm going to take now the yellow, which is the dawn, and just colour in the centre of that flower. And I'm going to take the wax, which is the orangey colour, and just add a little bit more there. And again, if I take my water brush, it will just blend, but can you see it's rubbing it out a little bit in the middle, just giving me that lighter piece. Now, for the leaves, I'm simply going to take a little bit of the green, and this I think is the mint, it is, onto my ink mat. And I'm just going to go in and gently trace down the edges, again not being too careful with my water brush. So I get the green in, and we'll add a little bit of green just into there, and just a touch in the centre. We'll blend that through. So there we've got a really nice coloured, very quickly effective flower. So to make the background, I'm simply going to give my mat a wipe, and I'm going to bring in another piece of white card, and this time I've cut this again to 5 by 7 inches, which tends to be the standard. I tend to make 5 by 7 or 5.5, 7.5, or sort of 8 by 6. That seems to be the standard that I stick to. And I'm going to take the stamp that we used earlier, so exactly the same stamp. This time I'm going to put it onto the large Crafts 2 stamp block. These are so easy to hold with the ridges, makes it so simple. I'm going to take the dye pens, and where it's green, I'm going to scribble over with the green. Let's put a little bit at the top as well. I'm going to take one of the pinks and loosely scribble over there, and I'm going to add a little bit of the red in some of the areas that I've missed. And these are quite juicy, so you don't have to worry about them drying. You don't really have to huff it. And I'm just going to ink and stamp that around the edge on one side, and I'm going to repeat and do the same on the other. You can see you get that beautiful line, but you get in the shades going across. It's got quite an old sort of paper backing look to it, this. I think it looks really, really nice. So again, a little bit of pink in. We'll go into our red. We'll add some more of the red. Don't worry, it doesn't matter if they're cross. A little bit more green perhaps on this top bit, and I'm going to stamp the other side. And just rotating my stamp round and moving it, getting all of the ink off. And then it's really simply a case of, I'm just going to add a black mat onto this because I stamped my flower originally in black, so that the black doesn't stand out too much. And once you put it onto there, it really does work. I'm going to take the flower I coloured, add a little bit of glue on that one again. And we're just going to put that one on there. Okay. And here's a card blank. And again, this is 5.5 by 7.5. So we'll add our craft artist glue. Give it a nice little 1/4 inch border. And I'm going to take my image, and this time, because I cut this measurement to 5 and this measurement to 5, I can pop it on, and they actually meet at the top and the bottom, so it looks as if I've printed so far and stamped across. But a really simple technique, just using the pens and the beautiful illustration stamps from 2J's.
And it's just about having that fantastically designed stamp, isn't it, to work in the middle of your design. And that's what you are getting here. Not stamps, stencils. That's what you're getting here. And you are getting wonderful, wonderful stencils to give you these great backgrounds. And then you've got the stamps on the show to give you the stamp that he was just using there in the middle. So it's about combining the two, really. But if you want to talk about the backgrounds, this is where we're at, because these stencils are wonderful. They attach to your tool. They're in place. They don't move. And that means you can get this multi-layering as well, which is absolutely fantastic. It's a really good price today, because 49 under £50 there if you are a Freedom member, £54.95 if not. And I think it's a great price because you have got 3 stencils per pack, and then those 3 stencils will give you a 4th design by combining them all together. You can use them individually as well if you want to, and then they do work so well on that little board there because everything is kept in place with those plugs and with those magnets. Now let me just show you here how they work. Whoops, I dropped one. Because, don't drop it. Because you can see how you can just use the 3 individually, but when you put them all together, this is the effect that you get there. So you get this wonderful, wonderful kind of depth of shading. Now, if you were to try and do this without anything in place, you can imagine that you wouldn't get these crisp, fine edged lines here. Look at those 3 different colours there. That's what you're getting when everything is put into place and held and can't move. And you can use these stencils with your texture paste. You can use them with your inks. Whatever you want to use them with is absolutely fine. And then if we have a look at this one, as I was saying earlier, this is like a kind of Moroccan tile really, and you can see how when you put them all together, this is what you create in the bottom. And then this one is like your honeycomb, but once again, it's the 3 individual prints. They work together or as standalone prints. This is what happens when you put them all together. And then here you can see, I think this is very kind of 60s print-ish, but it is obviously florals. I love this one, simple sentiment, you're done. But when you put it together, once again, you've got this perfect layering here, which doesn't move because it's on your system. So 912481, your item number, if you want to get all of those stencils and the tool with the little plugs and the magnetics there to hold everything in place. It's just a really clever system. 912481, under £50, and of course that's in the Freedom Club there with no postage, and you can divide that cost as well into FlexiBuy. And it all is coming to you on the 29th of April because the first collection today sold out. So we're on extended dispatch now, coming out to you a week today. Lovely. Let's talk about these ink pads, and they are so clever because you are getting ink and you're getting pigment. And the difference is that the pigment pads, they work with heat embossing, and that means that they give you a slower drying time, which means that you can blend more, you can create more, you can mix more colours together. And if you get them home and start using them with your embossing powders, you will get 20 different coloured embossing powders. Think about it that way, because the embossing powders draw up the ink. The other inks are just your standard dye inks, and you would use those, for example, on your plastic mat. You could add some water, spritz with them, watercolour them. You could use them directly onto your stamps when you're working with stamps. You could use them to go around the edges of cards, vintage your cards, soften the edges of your cards. So you use them like regular ink pads. But here's the thing, when you are buying these sizes and you're getting a good range of colours, the value is great because it's under £30. If you were to try and get all of those colours in the bigger ink pads, it would cost you a lot more money. And the thing is, how often do you use all the colours? So when you buy the big ink pads, you're putting a lot of money into something that you might not use that much. Here you've got little ink pads, 75 pence an ink pad, so they're juicy, they last a long time, you get great colour with them, but you're only paying 75 pence on ink pad. So it's a fantastic way to get them, and by getting the two together, you're getting the saving, and they're under £30 today. So 705 640 is your item number if you'd like to get hold of those. Right, so we saw John using the stamps, didn't we? Let's have a look at him now creating some fantastic backgrounds with this brilliant toolkit of parts.
In this demo, I'm going to show you how to use the layered combi stencil set Sunburst along with the Mica Magic to create a beautiful glittery background with the triple layer pattern going through. So I'm going to move that out of the way and bring in a piece of card I've cut to size. And again, this size is marked on the magnetic colour base for you, and it's A6. So I've cut this card, it's a piece of white A4 card, and I've cut that into 4 sections. So it's roughly 4 1/8 of an inch by 5 3/4 inches. But again, you can use any size of card that you want to. It's just easier at first to use the set sizes as they fit exactly where the designs are. So I'm going to bring in my first layer, and again I'm using the largest layer in the set, and I'm just going to pop my little pigs into each of the holes to hold the stencil in place. And I don't know why I always try and do this flat, it's always easier to do it from above. So we're just going to pop those in, and again what I would suggest is that you use all 5 of these that come in the set. For speed on this demo, I'm just using 2 at the top and bottom, but again you'll find at home it's a little bit easier using the 5. I'm going to secure down the card using a magnet, and you can use other magnets that you may have. So if you've got other magnets, they will work just as well if you really want to make sure you hold that completely securely. I'm going to bring in my Mica Magic, and I'm using the basic Brights palette for this one. And I'm going to take one of the Crafts 2 finger daubers, and I want to work from a light colour to a dark colour. So I'm going to start with this sort of lightish coloured green, pick some up on my dauber, and just colour through the stencil. So we're going to go through, picking up the mica and colouring through. And the thing that I find with these is Mica Magic is the easiest and the quickest way to get the backgrounds on this. They look the most effective when they're done this way. So going through just with the mica until I've got a nice coverage. And again, you can mix colours in here, but I'll be showing you that in the next demo. So I want to simply take this stencil off and switch down to the next stencil in the set. You can see there I've got that background, and I could use that as it stands. I'm going to take the next one, pop it on, put my little pegs into their holes again. This is probably the most time-consuming thing you will do, is actually changing, certainly when using the Mica Magic, is changing the little pegs. So we'll get those in, there we go, pressed in. I'm going to hold my card down again, and I'm going to take my dauber, and because I'm using Mica Magic I can use the same dauber, so I went with that greeny colour. I'm now going to go with this bluey colour. I'm going to get a really nice peacocky look. So I'm going to work over again, and the Mica Magic works on top of itself, it doesn't reactivate. So I'm just going to go through each colour. As I said, this is the quickest way to do it, picking up colour each time, and you can spend that little bit more time getting solid on there, or getting different colours and different shades running through. So we'll go through, we'll take this one off, so move your magnets off. You can see there I've gone from that beautiful green to that beautiful sort of turquoisey blue. I'm going to bring the final stencil in the layer set in. Again, pop my little pegs back in. So just top and bottom for speed. And you'll see what these are designed so that the stencil sits in exactly the right place. And what I love about this Sunburst stencil is, if you can see, there's no hole in the centre in any of the others. The hole is only on the last one, so it gives that little bit of extra detail. So this time I'm going to go into the purple colour, and I'm just going to work that in on top. And each stencil is the same density. So they are built, I think it's about 300 microns. So you'll find that it's not too deep. But also if you want to use your texture pastes, your Ice Ink Ice or your Ice Ink Diamonds, or any of your sort of texture pastes, they'll work beautifully through this because there is enough of a depth to be able to take the texture paste. So just going to go through with the final one, work that through, and we'll take those off. Again, the magnets come off, take our little pegs out, take our stencil off, and we've got there the most beautiful 3-layer with a lovely sheen to it, and it's got a real sort of peacock look to it. This, when you catch the light, it's got that beautiful sheen from Mica Magic, and the colours are all defined and definite.
Beautiful. It's such a clever idea. As soon as I saw it today, I was like, that is so good, isn't it? Because whenever you use stencils, they do move. And as I was saying to John earlier in the phone call, if you put masking tape around them, that might be okay for the top one, but not the ones underneath. They're going to slip. So it is really clever to have the plugs and then the magnetics and then keep everything in place. So a really, really good idea. And there are the details on the screen. Except then they aren't, because now we're talking about stamps. Now, if you look at these stamps, it's all about the detail, and look at it. I mean, it's amazing. You've got shading, you've got backgrounds, you've got, you know, different things in there. You've got leaves, you've got flowers. Looks like you've kind of got the circles in there. You've got sentiments in there, like stamps in there. And then you've got musical notes in that one. When you look into them, the more you look, the more you see. And as I've been saying, when you've got all of that detail already pre-made for you, all that shadowing, all you have to do is add a wash of colour, and then the colour will take on the depth that's already in the stamp, and it will make it look like you are an amazing artist, but you don't have to be. Let's have a look at what you can be doing with them, because there are so many different things that you can do. So, for example, when you're using your glossy accents like that, you can see how that works beautifully. And then you've got that lovely sort of yellow colour that has been used on here. And once again, it's making you look right into the middle of that flower. Then you've got this one, which has got your pinks and purples in there. And then you've got this one, and which has got that lovely copper finish, but it gives you an idea of what you can do with these sorts of stamps. So if you want to create that kind of look, it's 176190 as an item number. £23.97 is what you will pay. Let's have a look at the next ones, because these are a beautiful set again, and now you've got more to play with and even more things that you can do. And so this is 925435 as an item number. £34.97 is the price that you will pay, and I'll show you again some of the things that you could be making. So when you add colour, absolutely beautiful like that. But if you want to just literally go for a black and white, then you could just go for the black and white stamp. You don't need to worry about the colour. Again, using just black and white, then adding just a touch of colour. You know what these remind me of? You know when you see those Victorian photographs, and they used to just paint in a bit of colour, didn't they? Because obviously they were black and white photographs. Not that I was around in the Victorian era, but that's what it is, kind of that. It's that kind of effect, isn't it? And then that one, once again, and then, you know, you can look at those flowers and think, oh, that's a bluebell, but actually, is it a red bell? You can do whatever you want to do with them just by simply adding the colour. So it's a glorious set of stamps, a great price today, £34.97. 925435 is your item number if you would like to get hold of those. Then we've got the Mica Magic. Of course, John was using this in his demonstration. Really lovely, deeply pigmented, fantastic powders for you to use with the mica in there, which is what gives you that wonderful kind of glimmer and glitter and shiny. You've got this lovely set of colours, and then you've got your earth tones, which really complement it well, with your blacks and greys and a white in there, which is essential. I had a go earlier. I didn't use the door, but I just used my finger. But you can see, even with using my finger, how they blend together. You get a lot of colour out of them. They would work beautifully with the stamps on the show. But you can see as well that mica in there, that lovely kind of gold finish, that lovely kind of glittery finish. It's absolutely beautiful. That's a great couple of palettes, and only £26.98 as well if you'd like to get the two there. 430414 is your item number. And And then we mentioned daubers, just so happens we've got some on the show. And these are in a lovely little carry case. Absolutely love these. There's something about these being the perfect size daubers. 422944 is your item number, £21.98 for those. But you also get your blending petal as well, so you can really work with your colours. So how many colours you get in the Mica Magic? We're getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times by 3, 15, 30. So you get 30. So you've got enough daubers for every single colour, which is great. So 422944 is your item number. Under £20 as well if you are in the Freedom Club. And of course, no packaging, no poking. No poking. No one's going to arrive with them and poke you. No, no packaging or posting if you are in the Freedom Club. 422944. Right, we've got another lovely demonstration for you. This next card is absolutely amazing. Watch the demonstration and then I'll show you it for real in the studio.
In this demo, I'm going to show you how to use the fantastic magnetic colour layer set with the Eastern Oval stencil, this time with the Eye Zinc diamonds, to show how you can get beautiful texture through and get a stunning card that glitters just like this. So I've already placed my card in place as per the previous demonstrations, and I've put the first layer of the Eastern Promise, Eastern Oval should I say, diamond set into there. And I'm going to take the lightest colour of the diamonds, so this is Eye Zinc diamonds in silver, and put a little layer across the top. And the stencils have been designed thick enough to be able to take a texture paste as well as the inks. So all I'm going to do is simply take that and run it down as I would do normally with any normal stencil. Very simple. The only thing I have to do with this, obviously, is to leave some drying time. So I take my stencil on, I've gone the paste through, which is very quick, take the pips out, stencil off, and we've got that beautiful stenciled Eastern Oval. So I'm going to move that one out of the way, and what I would do is leave that to dry. And with the diamonds, that takes about 20 to 25 minutes to actually dry. So I'm going to bring in the next layer and place that into place and tape that down. So this is one that I did earlier and I dried, and I bring in the next stencil in the set, which is the next size down, and again we place that over, pop your pips in place, and again I would suggest that you use all 5 pips. I'm using just the top and the bottom for speed on the demo. Secure with your magnets, and we simply go in then with our next colour of diamond or texture paste or ink or whatever it is. And I'm going to use this next colour down, which is a lighter blue shade. So I'm just going to again add some of that along the top, and we simply pull it down. And the way the stencil's been designed, it means that because it's not sprayed down or attached down, you can quite simply pull the colour through and it will sit on top. So we'll carry on with that until we've got that all done. I'm going to take that one out, and I'm going to bring in, you can see there, one that I did earlier that's already dried. So I would give that again another 20-25 minutes to dry, and bring in the final layer, which I'm just going to tape down. Now what you can do is leave the card in place and let it dry in situ. It doesn't take overnight with the diamonds. With other paste it may take a while, but it's up to you how you want to wait. So we're just going to pop again the final third stencil in the set into place, pop the little pips in to the right spot, control our card down, and we're going to move to the final colour, and I'm using a darker colour. But when you're using the texture paste or you're using the Eye Zinc diamonds or the ice, you can actually use darker colour to lighter colour because they don't bleed between the layers. So it's simply a case of scraping it through, and I'm using a movement like I'm buttering toast almost, and I do like toast with lots of butter, so I'm probably being a little bit thicker than most people would be. But just take it through, make sure you've covered everywhere, scrape the excess off to use on another project, make sure we're completely covered. I'll move that to one side. We'll take our magnets off, take our pips out and our stencil off, and you can see there we've got that beautiful, and again it's got a real sort of Eastern look to it, or again almost a peacock look to it, so you get that beautiful glitter shine. And I would leave that again 20-25 minutes to dry, and once you've finished that you can then decorate it however you want, frame it up, as I've done with the original, which I'll bring in here, and you can see here I've just put a little white dot in the centre of each of the ovals and framed it, and I could add a sentiment to that, and it's a card made for any occasion that people will look at and go, ooh, how have you done that?
And this is the card that he was making there. And he's right, you do. You would look at that and go, how on earth have you put that together? Because when you look at the perfect edging there that you've got there with the two different colours, you'd look at that and go, I don't know how you've done that. And as you can see, every single bit of that edging is absolutely spot on. There has not been a wobble. There is no manoeuvre. There is no movement there. It is absolutely perfect. It's like it's been done by a machine, you know, one of those big machines that's gone and just put it into place. And if you do what? It does. Yes, if you spin it that way, it looks like baubles, like Christmas tree baubles. So that's a great idea. You could be making something like that as well out of these stencils. Brilliant. So what do you get in your kit of parts? Well, you get your 4 packets of 3 stencils in each packet. Now on our board, you will see, of course, 4 images. So you think 4 stencils. No, it's 3 stencils. Put them together and we've created the 4th one for you. So that is when everything is together. And then these are your 3 individual stencils there. So that's what you can create. And this is what we're talking about. Look at this precision detail in here. These perfect lines. Nothing has moved. And that's because of the tool. And that's what you want to get when you do your stenciling. Now with these stencils, you can, of course, use lots of different mediums. You can use pastes. You can use inks, as you've seen throughout the show. So you can use what you want. This is the actual tool itself. So it is this board. And then what you do is you get your little plugs, which you can see down there. And your stencils simply go over, and then you plug them into place. And then you also have a magnet as well. And then when you have plugged them all into place and you've put the magnet there, you'll start to build up your picture and they will not move. Obviously, I'm moving them around at the moment, but they will not move. And then you will be able to create your layered effects or just use the stencils individually. John was also saying what's lovely about the stencils is that they're also different. So if I just show you these boards again. Why do I keep dropping a board every time? In my ear they're going, every time, Rachel, get a grip. No, they didn't say that. So if we have a look at this one, this is when you've done all the layering together. But these are the kinds of like explosions, like bursts, aren't they, of flower petals, really. I like this one because I think a simple sentiment or something is the way to go. But that's that board. Then you've got this one. Again, I'll say it again, but I think this is like a 60s print. But obviously it is a floral arrangement when it's all put together like that. This actually, that could be like, you know, the broderie anglais lace that you get. Yeah, it's like that, isn't it? It's that kind of pattern. Bit bigger though. And then we look at this one, and when you put it all together, this is the pattern that you create. I see giraffes, but of course you probably see honeycombs. So that's what you get there. And then on this one, I see a Moroccan tile. I see a, it's called an Eastern oval. But you can see how the elements come together to create this one in the end. So some lovely designs, very different designs, really great when they're put together, really great when they're put together on the tool because everything is held in place, and fantastic you can use different mediums. What's even better is the pricing. $24.73, your first of 2 flexible payments today. It is 912481 as an item number. I will show you some samples so that you can see what you can make. So there is an idea of your backgrounds, and you know, if you did make a mistake on these backgrounds, if there was a wobble, if those lines weren't quite so good, it would show off a mile. And this is what's making them look so professional. That's like a beautiful peacock feather, isn't it? But this is what makes them so interesting. They're almost like patterned papers that you're using in the background. But of course, they're not, because you are printing them, and you can print them on whatever colours you want to. So you've got honeycomb there. You've got the kind of bauble there. And I love when you use them in their simplest form, just one at a time, and you get this effect like that. So really very versatile. On flexible payments today, $24.73 today, your first of 2 flexible payments, 912481 if you'd like to get this really clever system home. Let's talk about the inks again. We have got inks and pigment inks. The difference is pigment inks take longer to dry, and that means that you can use them with your heat embossing powders. You can literally draw up the colour and then you can mix and blend, and it will give you enough time to be able to play. Whereas the inks themselves, of course, use them with your plastic mat, use them with water, spritz them, use them with water and paint with them, just regular inks. Great thing is 75p each these inks are working out at. They're very juicy. You get a lot of colours as well across the range, which is fantastic, especially if you're starting out as a stamper. If you want to get the lot today, $29.98 is what you will pay. 705640 is your item number for those wonderful inks. Let's go on to our stamps. These stamps are so detailed. They give you that depth, that dimension. That's what you want when you are looking at stamps. And if you add a bit of colour to them, they are absolutely amazing. There's a kind of lovely vintage feel to them as well. 176190 is your item number. $23.97 if you would like to get hold of those. Let's look at the next collection because I can show you some examples as well. So with these, you get 7 of your stamps, and this is the kind of thing that you can be creating from these lovely stamps. Just add the colour that you would like to add and instantly your stamp is changed. You see, if you just use them in black and white, not a problem. You don't have to do a lot to these stamps if you don't want to, but add a little bit of colour and suddenly you get a very different view. So there you are. Those are the ideas. That's what you could be making with these stamps. So instead of nearly £42, you're looking at $34.97 today. It is 925435 as an item number, and you get all of those wonderful stamps in your collection. Also on the show as well, we have got this wonderful mica powder palettes, and we've got your daubers and the 7-day savers as well. So I would suggest that when this show is finished, in the break in between shows, because of course coming up next is our 1-day special. We launched it earlier, it's coming back in a second from Clarity. But in that break, I would suggest you hop to the website, hochanda.com. Well, you don't have to hop, you don't have to go anywhere in your living room, you can just tap. Just go to hochanda.com, have a look on the website and just have a shop. And definitely get yourself, if you're going to go for one thing, go for that stencil holder, because I think that is absolutely genius. I really do. And you thought so as well, because it sold out today. And then it came back on extended delivery, coming out to you a week today. It's a great price and it's a really clever tool to have. If you can't stretch to that, I would say get yourself the daubers or the mica powders, because they are fabulous. All the stamps, but it depends on your budget. Anyway, it's all there on the website, hochanda.com. As I say, they were going to disappear now. We're going to come back in a few moments' time for that fabulous 1-day special. If you watched earlier, don't worry, brand new demos in the next hour. All coming up on Hochanda. Okay, so as I say, it is crafting with the Clarity 1-day special, new demos, and then following that it is Crafty Roo Designs, and also if you can't watch the 1-day special next, it will be up later on tonight here on Hochanda. Well, welcome back to all of our lovely viewers from the US of A. It is great to have your company again. Sadly, we weren't able to ship out to you because, of course, there is the coronavirus situation at the moment. Now, really great news. We're managing now to be able to ship back out to you again. However, it is working out to be quite costly because of things changing for us. And the price now is actually $12.95 per item. But do not despair, because there's a great way around this. If you become a part of our Freedom Members Club, which is $19.99, that is the one payment that you pay for the month. And what that gives you is your packaging and your posting, your shipping basically on the items that you buy. So instead of buying one item for $12.95, use that $19.99 and get your items sent to you. It's the best way to shop. But it's great to have you back. We're so glad that we're able to ship to you over there in the US of A.
Hi, I'm Joe from the Mill Shop Online. Welcome to the Mill Shop Online. As you can see, we're a lot of fabric here. We're very passionate about our fabrics. We're one of the largest online sellers in the UK of fabrics for upholstery, soft furnishings, and now the lovely craft market. Coming up in the future with Hochanda, the Mill Shop Online going to bring lots more collections of beautiful fabrics, all inspired for you crafters, for your upholsterers, soft furnishings, everything for every project. All our designs for Hochanda, all our crafting elements, always very unique and very exclusive for Hochanda. Whether you're starting out with fabric or you're an experienced sewer, we love to bring projects that every ability can really have a go at. So don't miss the Mill Shop Online shows on Hochanda.
Did you know you can watch Hochanda 24 hours a day, 7 days a week using the Hochanda app on your Amazon Fire Stick for free? Just like your smartphone accesses an app store to add new applications, your Amazon Fire Stick accesses the Amazon App Store to add new applications.